into it. All right. This is the TSM versus... Ooh, no, not like this, YouTube. This is the TSM versus FlyQuest. Week 1, Day 2. Asriel out the gate from TSM. Malzahar being banned away by FlyQuest. Ornn being banned away as well. Gangplank being banned away, taking that away from Flame. Zoe being banned away. I think that you know, you guys have probably heard me talk about this a lot now in these VOD reviews. I think it's a pretty big problem to be banning away Zoe, unless they just don't think that TSM will ban Zoe or Azir, and so they're trying to just get one, and so they end up actually taking Azir. So Veigar is open. So there's Veigar. Veigar's still on the table. Malzahar's obviously banned. Zed, really low chance that, you know, we should see something like Zed. That would probably be the traditional answer to Zilean. You have LeBlanc, although again, that's probably not a champion that you would expect. Okay, TSM coming straight out the gate just with their bottom lane. Protect the COG comp already shaping up. This might just insinuate that Bjergsen's going to play like a utility mid-range mage. Very quick pick bans. I understand that we're on ×2 speed, but even still. So I think that basically all that TSM should do here, if Hauntzer's champion pool is really big, they should probably just respond with a mid-lane champ here and get it out of the way. And then they can try to pinch support champions if they want to do that, or they can try to pinch junglers. Okay, Xerath. Now, unfortunately, one thing I would have liked is, it's very uncommon, but if they picked Xerath here, and they held off on Tom, they could have maybe made FlyQuest think that the Xerath is a flex. Or they could have made, you know, FlyQuest think that it was going to be support Xerath. So now they're going to pinch supports. Alistar being banned. Obviously, that would be a pretty big nightmare for Bjergsen and also Sven. Camille gets banned away. Camille's not the type of champion I would associate with what this TSM team composition's goal is trying to be. And Shen now getting banned away. So they're taking away the very heavy melee engaged supports. Curious actually what FlyQuest will end up doing for support pick. Now with that option being removed. I mean, Lulu's still a possibility. Braum, still a possibility. And now TSM could just go support here and hold off on jungle. They're being... why would you take Kha'Zix? That doesn't make any sense. That's really weird. That's really that's really strange. They're gonna give counterpick to Haunter. Or not, oh my god, I just said, yeah. Give counterpick to Haunter. I think that counterpicking jungle would have been a lot better. Taric ends up being picked up. Taric actually, this is a situation where Taric isn't as good. I mean, he has a lot of value. It should be noted that he has a lot of value, obviously against Kha'Zix, but you don't know what this pick is. This is still a question mark. Kog'Maw is pretty good against Taric, just because Kog'Maw is sustained periodic damage. Xerath is also pretty good against Taric, because basically you never have to actually go on them. So I think that like this pick is sort of like a question mark to me out of FlyQuest. Zach ends up getting locked in next, and basically this is a question now on how practiced is TSM playing against Zach, because if they're not practiced at all, then Keen and Anda can just light up mid lane, like a lot. And a lot of pressure is going to come onto Mike Young. And how practiced is Mike Young against Zach? You know, how many people are still playing Zach in NA solo queue? How many people are playing him in scrims? This is a really nice curveball pick for a best of one to throw at TSM. This is the exact kind of a pick that I would really like a team to do against TSM if you know that you're going up against a wall. So now, TSM, you know, there's not a lot of top lane picks that are realistically remaining, you know? You don't have Gangplank because apparently Haunter is not comfortable enough to play it into the rough matchups, even though we have seen many players are comfortable to play it into the rough matchups. They ended up reserving the counter pick for Haunter, and for basically what purpose? Like, what ace do they have up their sleeve? You know what ace is up my sleeve at this point in this draft? Annie, okay? We already saw that worked in the LPL, all right? You get to show Nar what's good. No, but realistically, you're very, very limited on top lane picks. Jace, I mean, I don't even think I actually need to be banned away by FlyQuest. I don't think that you would want to see Haunter's Jace. I mean, you can go for Kennen. I think Kennen's actually really undervalued, but the problem is if you go with Kennen, then you're just you're basically telling all of these guys to just get magic resist, and that really takes away from Bjergsen, takes away from Sven, because Kog'Maw deals a lot of magic damage. Okay, I think there, I mean, yes, Annie does a lot of magic damage too. I'm just joking about that. The Cho'Gath pick is really, really just unfortunate. I think if you're gonna go for something like this, you can go for something like Renekton. You can go for something like an Engage, like Maokai. You could probably even go for Sion. We've seen MVP Ed in Korea. He's comfortable playing it into really brutal matchups, but I think that when we start talking about champions like that, Haunter's pool just does not extend to that. So it's pretty unfortunate. Pretty awkward spot to find yourself in. Those are really nice TSM jerseys. Not the jerseys, the hoodies. The hoodies are really, really nice. Vladimir would be okay, but it falls under the same problem as Annie and Ken. It really takes away from Kog'Maw and Xerath. The Cho'Gath pick is just really, really, really strange to me. Realistically, Cho'Gath should never be able to get onto this team. There's almost never a universe where it should work. And then it's going to be so difficult to synergize the timing on everything for TSM. This draft by TSM, it started out really great, and then this was just like a what the hell, and then this was even more of a what the hell. It just makes no sense whatsoever. It really, really just makes no sense. I don't understand what is going on in their draft here. So let's see what they end up doing. Basically, the way that you look at this, Onda he has options everywhere. That's really scary. That becomes very difficult to predict his paths if he remains in the Fog of War, and if FlyQuest plays a very defensive control ward game on their half of the river, and then Onda just stays in the Fog of War with his insane range. Okay, provides a lot of pressure up to Haunter. Haunter has to respect Blasting Cone, freezes from flame, become infinitely more problematic for him to deal with. It's a red side Cho'Gath, a lot more wiggle room. Keen, if he ever has priority, it basically promotes Onda to go on to the left-hand side, and then, they can coordinate maybe 3-man roams towards like the early mid transition against Haunter. They can kill him underneath the turret, etc. So there's a lot of problems that the TSM team composition is going to have. And then realistically, what is Mike Young going to get out of this? Like, how does he get onto this team and do anything? Like, what is the Kazakhs really doing here? What is the Cho'Gath really doing? This is a really, really, really just bad draft. The way that it unfolded. So we just have a defensive opening from both sides. So like TSM's whole thing is just stall and go late, and then Bjergsen softens someone up, and then you pray that you get a pick. It is so weird that TSM's poke comp becomes a pick comp, just because like the way that FlyQuest's team composition is. TSM's team composition is so bad. Cloud Drake, first Drake of the game. way, way, way more valuable for FlyQuest than TSM. So basically, if TSM goes to get it, it's just going to be a denial, and it's not like an outright capture. I like how Mike Young is identifying he can't do anything in any lane, and so he's just going for massive camps. Power farming. All right, I'm just going to pause for a second. I don't know why this is buffering. This hasn't happened all night since I restarted. So we're going to see what is going on here. I don't know what is causing this. Hit play now. Pray that it goes away. That's really obnoxious. Okay, Mike Young comes over, he gets Scuttle Crab. This is freezing, so I'm going to just try to refresh. And that made it worse. Alright, quality went down a little bit, and it's still lagging. I wonder if I'm getting throttled by SKT. Net neutrality. This has not happened all night. Oh my god. This is like when you're trying to watch porn and it just keeps buffering over and over and over. And before you know it, you actually just start getting so angry at the website that you lose all sensation. Right, let me quit Skype. Okay, we close Skype. Let's try this now. And that's not working. This is really unfortunate. Happens on the best VOD too. Alright, let's try. I'm gonna close everything else. Literally everything else is getting closed. Okay. Close this, close that. Alright. Close OPS. Alright, let's see if it seems a little bit better. Little bit better. Okay, close the advertisement. Just hope that it gets a little bit better. Okay, so my apologies. Mike Young coming in, he's getting ward coverage. He's just making sure. It basically, all that Mike Young has to do is power farm and then get vision in areas that Zach can approach from. That's really, really all that he needs to do. Just constantly get vision on where Zach can approach from. As long as TSM can make it into the mid game, then and they're not too far behind, then they're going to have a fighting chance to win the game. Can't really see exactly what's happening in mid. Bjergsen's down a little bit in CS. He's down one wave. Okay. CS is that. Looks like he's going to recall. This looks like lost chapter recall timing. 36 farm. 36 farm, 5 minutes. Mithy trying to do some poke. Let me try to lower the speed to 1.5. Okay. Well, that seems to work. Okay. All right, that seems a lot better. Okay, so Mike Young continuing to just try to get vision. It's just really, really important for him to always identify where Zac is. Doesn't need to do anything else. And then after he identifies that, he's allowed to go and power farm, so make sure that Onda cannot gank anywhere. It's really all that needs to happen. Bjergsen kind of low on mana. Going to end up recalling now. Both players have Spellbook. MikeYeung comes in here. He's searching for Zac. And Bjergsen doesn't see this until too late. Ends up having to use his flash. MikeYeung comes in, not able to pick up a kill, but they do get the flash out of Keen. Bjergsen still hasn't recalled, neither is Keen. He is down 8 farm. But ultimately, that is going to be a win for FlyQuest, because Bjergsen now without flash, he's even more so of a sitting duck against the Zac Azir combo. Sven and Mithy in bottom lane doing pretty okay. Haunser not doing the best of jobs at keeping up in farm. Flame also even has a cull, so, you know, add that to boot. It's going to be really, really difficult. That is definitely going to offer a lot of gold acceleration inside of FlyQuest, so you can pay attention to that in the top of the gold graph, or the gold scores at the top. MikeYeung now going to get his red. Bjergsen still didn't recall. Finally recalls. He gets Spell Thieves, actually. Not even going to go for the Lost Chapter. Just going to go for the Spell Thieves. He's coming back into the lane. Spell Thieves, very, very popular lately amongst pro players on a lot of different champions. We saw Faker do it on Kassadin. See a lot of players using this. Echo, another champion that uses it quite often. Uses the Spell Thieves, and I really like that usage by him to just try to identify if Zac's around. It actually ended up alerting Haunser. And you can see that MikeYeung is just continuing to power farm. FlyQuest not really achieving that much, so the Zac pick is temporarily falling behind, but honestly, FlyQuest's team composition is just so much better than TSM's that like minor advantages really just don't matter. If TSM can make it to like 25 minutes and the game is completely even, they can outmuscle FlyQuest, you know, but that's really going to be on Sven and Bjergsen to do something. Wild Turtle and Stunt trying to get some poke damage down. Bjerg not really doing anything right now. You can see that Keen just shoves him in. He goes to get vision. And these are situations where pranks are like really, really important. Like you see this is an example of something, right? Let's say that hypothetically MikeYeung came out of the brush while Keen was right here and made Keen go all the way back, right? Let Bjergsen soften everything up, and then as he begins to charge the AoE to push it, then MikeYeung leagues so not to absorb XP, and then Keen is forced to like farm from like right here as the wave comes up, right? This is a slight change in tempo in mid lane, because when you just let Keen continue to sit here and do everything, you know, you're just gonna have this never-ending stalemate, and then Azir is gonna be a little bit better at winning this war. Interesting, the Sork Pen boots, by the way, the itemization out of Keen. Really going for that damage. Haunser, the call and the CS is obviously adding a lot of pressure. Now you can see Bjergsen's recalling right here, and a wave's about to come up again. MikeYeung's going to be called in. Bjergsen cancels it again. Canceled his recall so many times. MikeYeung needs to just go mid and let him recall. What? Alright. Alright, so Bjergsen pushes in the wave. Now, it really matters on what is the gold here. He gets Lost Chapter, he gets boots. Don't know exactly what his gold count is. MikeYeung was able to farm a Gromp during this time, and Bjerg's not going to lose too much, but it's mostly about like the timing that he can get back onto the map. So, you know, relieving your laners is a really big thing to do. Onda able to actually sneak a solo Herald. I would have liked to have actually just seen MikeYeung go for like, it's gonna sound really weird. I think that the boots is an error out of the inspiration tree. I think going tier 2 boots like very early on and just being a ward bot was basically all that Kog'Maw and Azir needed here. And then also just using the Moby boots to constantly prank lanes to relieve pressure on Hanser and Bjerg. I think that would be really, really good. And Mike might be able to steal away this. No, he might be able to steal away the red. And he lost the smite fight. Game is even, but that doesn't mean that it's even. Because you have to remember team compositions. The one good thing is that Xerath is able to 1v9. Like 6 item, 45-minute game. You know, a few good Xerath beams can really just skew it. It really comes down to Azir versus Xerath. It's like king versus king. I'm gonna identify exactly where everyone is. Sven and Mithy getting bot tier 1 turret. Mike going for a black cleaver. So obviously he wants to ramp his damage. The problem is that he's only ramping his own damage. So when you're only ramping your own damage with the black cleaver, I understand it gives you durability, but honestly I question if the lethality like Duskblade would just be better at that point. I don't really know. I don't know about the itemization here. I think that the inspiration tree boots is an error. So let's rewind. Let's rewind and see what's going on here. Okay. So here, Bjergsen shoves in mid. He comes down. They see stunt. Gets pulled away. Mithy ults in. Teleport coming in from Hanser. Okay, Bjergsen ends up getting a kill. Doesn't end up picking up anything onto stunt. This is a spot where they should, honestly, I think, have handshaked. So let's talk about something really quick. It's a pretty interesting spot. Like, let's just see all things considered. So right here, oh wait. Oh, no, they don't have a minion wave. Never mind. They don't have a minion wave. Okay. If there was a minion wave present, it would actually change some of the rotations that TSM could have gone for. So now they're just going to end up recalling. It's a Cloud Drake, so they're not going to capture it. If it was Infernal or Mountain, then that would have been really good. They're rotating their bottom lane up to top. There's no Herald, so not really getting too much value there. Mike Young looks like he's going to solo Cloud Drake. Yep. See this one more time. Stunt was trying to get vision. Ends up getting caught out. Mithy not able to quite get the third stack. They do end up picking up the kill onto Wild Turtle. And the question is, could that have been refined even better so that you didn't need to commit as heavily as you did? A little bit of a waste from FlyQuest on the Herald. They get a turret that they should have been able to get anyway. But I guess it is sort of running out of time. The mid-tier 1 turrets for both parties are super, super, super important. Infernal Drake going to be the next dragon to spawn. Super, super important for both parties to get this. I think a little bit more so for TSM, because it really helps them crack the defense of FlyQuest. Obviously, Fly wants it as well. Looks like Sven is going to probably go Wits End. I'm assuming he's going to go Wits End second. There's just so many sources of magic damage on the enemy team that he really just has to avoid. Helps him be really tanky against the Zac. Maybe he does just end up going Runons and he puts trust into Bjerg. Rotating down into bottom lane, I think this is an error. I think actually conceding your bot tier 1 turret isn't the worst case, unless their argument for it is that they want to keep it up for the Infernal Drake. So that's why they send their bottom lane down there, because obviously there's no universe where Cho'Gath can ever actually push top lane, threaten top lane, and then be of any use without the teleport. Nothing's going to happen that way. And Dragon is still so far away that if you just sent your bottom lane up to top, they could actually realistically threaten top tier 1. And then with Bjergsen being able to have permashove over mid and Mike Young just have him in close proximity to Hanser, you should be able to realistically defend bottom, especially just because you can have Mithy ward properly on the left-hand side, and Sven should be able to just be safe. You have Mithy run down river, he has Tom Kench ultimate, etc. I think that you can actually do the lane setup a little bit differently and get more value. As for FlyQuest, though, I think all that they really need to do is, it's just basically a waiting game. Like, FlyQuest's win condition is literally wait. They just have to keep going, except if it goes to 6 items, it gets scary. But like 4, 5, I mean 3, 4, 5, they're golden. 3, 4, 5 items, they're completely golden. Things get really, really, really scary for TSM around then. Right now, I would honestly just like to see FlyQuest concede top tier 1 turret and trade it for bottom tier 1. Instead, TSM actually committing to try to killing Flame up in top. Not really achieving actually too much at all. Dragon's still a little bit ways away. Mike Young, I don't actually know how close he is to Black Cleaver. Game is definitely in a stalemate stage. See, it looks like Sven, yep, he picks up Wit's End. So that's really, really, really good for Cho'Gath, Tahm Kench, and Bjergsen. And obviously his own survivability. The Infernal Drake, it's going to make or break the game. You can see that they keep committing Flame up to top lane. But I think that, 2 or 3 minutes prior, FlyQuest should have committed to the right-hand side of the map because there's no neutral on the left-hand side. Trade top tier 1 for bottom tier 1. And then also maybe, you can potentially, if you commit every member over there, look to pick someone off. And then after the Infernal Drake fight, you just have a dead lane that you can create up in top lane, and you funnel gold into Keen or Wild Turtle up there. And there's nothing that TSM can actually do about it. Because Haunter is just going to be completely useless. He can't do anything in top lane. No one's ever going to be able to go top lane. TSM's team composition is just way too immobile, even though they're very long ranged, and they have ways to get around the map using the Tahm Kench. And obviously, Bjergsen being able to have a pseudo-global on the Zeroth ultimate. Right now, obviously fighting over Vision on the right-hand side. And let's just take a look at this. Looks like Onda is about to go in. FlyQuest shoving mid, and then they catch Mithy. Mithy ends up stopwatching. What do you want? I don't even understand. What do you want Kha'Zix to do in these team fights? He's never getting isolation, right? It just doesn't even make any sense. Like, picture how bad Shaco is, and then imagine him worse, and that's basically what Kha'Zix is right now. So let's just take a look at this this fight, okay? No one's on Drake yet, right? Let's just go back. So we're fighting over this Vision. Haunter's not here. Drake's not even spawned for 20 seconds. There's a giant wave in mid, okay? And even if Drake does end up spawning, the enemy tier 1 is still alive. So you can give FlyQuest an opportunity to hang themselves by letting them move into the river, using your blue trinket, right? And then just, using Zeroth to try to poke through the brushes and see exactly where they are. And then you can force them into an ultimatum, where if they venture too far into the river, you can just wait for a minion wave, crash this, back out, and then you can probably end up going up to top, taking the wave and crashing it. You might end up losing Infernal there. But realistically, I don't know why the priority isn't on clearing mid first, or having more of a commitment to mid. Let Mike Young come in here by himself. He has his leap, he can get out. It's not super important to have that vision yet. It's a luxury to have it, right? It's not vision that you can realistically contest with how far behind you guys are on tempo already. So what FlyQuest should obviously try to do is, yes, bait TSM into a fight. Try to invite TSM into the river. Stay inside of the fog of war. Onda looks for an engage. And ideally, that's what they should try to do. When you look at, the 30 seconds or a minute prior leading to this, right? Haunter's up in top lane. He's shoving top lane. And Dragon's coming up in 45. And he's going to shove one more wave. And it's why? That wave doesn't do anything. You just wasted 12 seconds of your time by walking forward, right? So this is 12 seconds later that you get down to Dragon. And because he's coming down to Dragon later, Mithy's also arriving late. Imagine if Mithy and Sven and Bjerg were all just right over here, and these guys were over here at 25 seconds, right? You can play a lot more forward, and you know exactly where Gnar is and where he's coming from. So then Haunter is able to actually get there, and you can potentially look for a real fight. You can just see the Kha'Zix doesn't do anything. What do you want him to do? Just please follow Kha'Zix in all of this. Here, I'll even slow this down. Just follow Kha'Zix. He's like, well, do I go in? He's like, I mean, I guess. Like, he almost got Wild Turtle. Like, I understand the idea, you know, that you soften them all up with Xerath and you have Kha'Zix, like, jump in and jump out and stuff, but, like, what do you want him to do here? This isn't even, like, necessarily, like, Mike Young's fault, you know? It's like, what really do you want him to do? That's really, really sad that Sven did not auto Onda. That's really, really, really weird. Onda should always die there. Onda should definitely go down 100% of the time. Sven should just be sitting there with like auto attack on. As soon as he comes out, it doesn't even matter if Onda flashes away, the auto attack would chase him. That's really, really, really strange. I mean, that team fight was just really poorly fought. The positioning leading up to it, very poor. Doesn't make any sense. Now, FlyQuest is going to be able to pick up the Infernal Drake. I forgot, ×2 doesn't like us today. Looking at the team fight one more time. It's just really, really difficult to do anything. They peel off into different directions. This creates a lot of problems. Mithy uses his Devour onto Haunter. Haunter doesn't end up doing anything with it. I mean, gets some damage down onto Onda. I mean, if Wild Turtle went down there to Kha'Zix and then Sven kills Onda, the fight looks a little bit different, but it still doesn't address that the main problem is that they're in a position where this fight can even take place when realistically FlyQuest is looking for something like this. Like if you ask FlyQuest, what do they want at that exact moment, they're going to give you that as an answer. What? Hold on. Cho'Gath just casually running up mid. Auto attacks a ward. What? Okay, they pick up a kill onto Keen. What are you gaining by running up river? Just go to Gromp. You don't have anywhere to be. No one's doing Baron. What? You go like this. Bjergsen waits for wave to come here. Bjergsen eats wave. Sven and Mithy stay around here. No one can get onto them. Everyone's exhausted. No one has summoners and stuff. Okay? Kha'Zix hangs around here. No one's doing Baron. Yes, they have Callista. I understand that they can, they can threaten it. Okay? Cho'Gath then leashes blue for Bjerg. Bjerg gets blue, comes back to mid. Mike Young's still over here. Sven and Mithy are still up top. And then Cho'Gath just comes like this. What is this? So now, like, if you're FlyQuest, okay, Azir dying is obviously really unfortunate. Alright? But you bring a fight now onto Bjergsen. He gets eaten by Mithy. If you're Fly, all that you have to do right now is this is a situation where realistically you can look to 3-1-1 as long as you're using your sweepers correctly and you're not going to get cut off by a Haunter teleport. You can 3-1-1 because it's so awkward and it pulls at TSM in such a manner that they aren't very well equipped to deal with it. Because obviously you have to keep Bjergsen in mid. Keen is going to be virtually unkillable in mid because he's just Azir. You can't get onto him. Right? As long as Wild Turtle, Stun, and Onda are like together and they're sweeping correctly, playing around pink wards and stuff, shoving, Mithy ultimate doesn't really do anything unless it's like with Haunter. And even if it is with Haunter, it's going to be telegraphed because Haunter's going to be off the map, Bjergsen's going to be off the map, Mike Young's going to be out of vision. What is going on? See the luxury wards, right? People keep going for luxury wards, luxury ward congestion. No one can get Baron. We're all pros here. Okay, Twitch chat's all challenger. No one can get Baron. There's no reason to fight over these visions. There's no reason to go into river. You have double blue trinket. Utilize it. It's good by FlyQuest. They're capitalizing on these mistakes. This is the same way that TSM lost games against Team Liquid. And now with Kalista, this is basically going to be impossible. Okay. Somehow Flame manages to get it. Kalista ends up going down. Alright. So FlyQuest takes Baron off the map, which, I mean, that's a victory in and of itself. Flame just trying to run. He buffs the minions. He's stalling for time. And this is pretty obnoxious because it just slows down and delays the rate at which TSM can turn around. So that's pretty good by him. Onda continues to farm. They should actually probably just look to prioritize getting the blue. And just watch this team fight. Haunts are a little bit indecisive, but they end up getting stunned right at the very end there. So Baron being off the map, it's a little bit obnoxious because TSM obviously really, really likes Baron because they have the siege and poke inside of the Xerath. They can't get any damage down onto Keen. Finally, the mid-tier 1 turret is going to fall. And now, if you're FlyQuest, all that you really need to be thinking about right now is let's just wait a little bit. You know, wait for the next Cloud Drake. If you're TSM, you might even actually just want to burst the Cloud Drake as fast as possible so that it forces another Drake to spawn and it prevents the Elder from coming. Even though their team composition obviously benefits from Elder with the amount of poke and siege that they have. Everything's slowing down. I don't know why. I don't know what TSM's doing, committing to the top half of the map. So let's just pay attention to this. So you see Haunter in bottom. You see where Onda is. And now you see everyone running up river. Sven is randomly in river. So why are we chasing TSM up river when we have control over their right side jungle and we can just shove this right into this and concede this and then send one of our primary carries to eat the giant wave and then eat our own jungle? Then what we can do is we can just go down immediately and then we can try to actually wait and stall and then force the spawning of Elder because we're FlyQuest and we're in control, we're in priority. We have an Infernal Drake. We just keep scaling. Why are we chasing them through river? It doesn't even matter if something can end up, you know, like you get a kill, like you get one kill. That's not as big, and you're also going to invest a lot of resources, right? Haunter ends up... What is Haunter doing? What? What? It's like knock knock, FedEx. Slow down there, FedEx. Mithy comes over and he's like, God damn it, I said UPS. He like eats him up. Oh my god. Like this just didn't even need to happen. Let's just take a look at this, right? If Haunter doesn't TP in here, everything's over. There is no more fight. There's no more fight if Haunter doesn't TP in, right? So FlyQuest can't really achieve anything. TSM has a say. This is just the weirdest thing in the world. They're both handshaking on something that both parties have a choice. And for some unholy reason, both parties actually handshake, you know, in a way that fights are allowed to happen. TSM ends up being able to get back into mid lane. They shove out the wave. So FlyQuest making a pretty big macro error. Cloud Drake goes down. Next Drake is actually Infernal. Really, really big. Really unfortunate RNG though for TSM. Because if they're not in a position to capitalize on that dragon, things get really, really out of control if FlyQuest gets double Infernal Drake. Kalista is mostly an attack speed based ADC. She still does like, you know, physical or like 80 damage, but, you know, obviously Zach's not utilizing it that much. Tarek, very, very little. Gnar utilizes it a little bit, but Azir definitely loves that added damage. Now FlyQuest shoving up bottom. Can't really see exactly what's happening top lane. It looks like it's actually pushing for Fly, so this rotation is pretty okay. This is a situation where I like, you can do this like little Azir turret, and you can actually just do 0-2-3, the two being Keen and Onda, because Azir just is so extremely mobile, and then Onda is just also so mobile, and you can use that to basically penetrate and crack open the bottom tier 2 turret from TSM, get yourself a little bit more gold that way, and then just continue to slow down the game, wait until the next Baron, wait until the next Drake. That's all that they need to do at this stage of the game. Bjergsen going Death Cap. And Mike Young continues into a glass cannony type of build. But I truly wonder, like, I don't see the purpose. I mean, this is something I'm sure I could have a conversation about with him or something. I don't see the purpose of the Black Cleaver. I think that the Lethality Kha'Zix is going to achieve the same thing. Realistically, you only have two people in mind for who you're trying to kill, right? Shredding this and, you know, giving armor shred, it's not really doing too much. You're the only one utilizing it, realistically. So with that being said, I mean, it even further points to why Kha'Zix? Why? Like what is this champion doing? We're reaching a point where, like, Lee Sin is almost a better pick, in a way. These picks are just really, really strange. Now FlyQuest actually faltering a little bit. They don't seem to know how to coordinate to crack these last two turrets using 0-2-3s. Onda and Keen together because of their mobility. You could potentially use Flame Onda and keep Keen with the others if you're really, really worried. You know, if you want the Azir ultimate available. Infernal coming up, and Baron is already up, and FlyQuest actually just going to it. And this is basically TSM. This is basically TSM's best shot. You see bottom lane, really good for TSM. Okay, you see top lane, if they can deflect the Baron, top lane is basically irrelevant. And then mid lane is actually pretty good for TSM. So FlyQuest is funneled into the river right now, and if TSM using Xerath and using Sven on Kog'Maw can actually create a fight inside of this, like, runway, and it ends up being good for them, and they can push them backwards or out, this is a pretty big win for TSM. Because what it ends up meaning is that someone's forced to respond to bottom lane, TSM gets priority again in mid, and then TSM's able to respond to top, and they're able to reset it. And then this kind of a reset should actually delay long enough to where Infernal starts to become a real threat. And then if someone ends up heavily committing into left side river, you can just take Sven with Mithy, send him to Infernal, keep the other three in mid, around mid, because they're basically the Baron deflectors. And then if the enemy team starts Baron, you can basically Mithy ult Sven into the fight. Alternatively, you could do this with Mike Young as well if you want to use Sven's ultimate to check for vision, you know, inside of brushes and whatnot. So they don't end up getting there in time. Callista Rend, pretty good. And let's see. Yeah, they just don't end up getting there in time. Taric ultimate comes out. And you can see Bjerg just trying to kite, casts his ult from long range. I think this is probably the best thing that he can do. He's just trying to soften up targets for Mike Young. And then he can't do anything else. So let's just watch this one more time. So if he doesn't ult now, he'll never get another opportunity to ult. Basically, because if his teammates go down and he's dishing out damage with his normal spells, he's never going to be able to ult. They're just going to chase him down. They're going to dog him down. He can't stay in close proximity either, because everyone on FlyQuest still has their summoners up, and Bjergsen only has heal. So there's no repositioning available. All he has to do is basically ult and look to press for damage. And he tries to give Mike Young openings. That's all that he can realistically do. Now here, maybe he could have tried to shove that wave in mid with like one spell cast. That's like a thin thing. That's not what she said. All right. So now they're going to get mid. They sent Azir top. Really good, capitalization. Now, the one thing, though, here is they don't need Flame for this push. This push, Flame is not actually necessary. Like, this is just luxury, right, to have Flame here. Like, you see them getting the inhibitor. No one else is actually coming up, right? There's no reason why Keen couldn't just, like, right, and then get here. And then you could have just had Flame recall, teleport bottom, and then Flame could already have this wave somewhere around here, right? And then everyone just backs up. This wave crashes here. All this vision is gone. They're down this inhibitor. This inhibitor, maybe this lives by the skin of its teeth without Flame. Maybe it lives by the skin of its teeth. But it's okay, because you don't need this inhibitor to win the game. This inhibitor alone, and the fact that you guys are already so strong from a 0-2-3, means this inhibitor is going to fall anyway, because TSM's team composition is not equipped to handle a 0-2-3 from this proximity. Okay? There is no way they can handle, like, a Flame Onda from right here. This inhibitor is going to fall, no matter what. So instead of this, insta recall, Baron buff, teleport bottom, get this wave up here, maybe even, just get an elixir, run the wave up. Keen takes this. Keen, Shurima's down here, tries to get it. Maybe if he doesn't, it's okay. Back up, fall through their jungle, eat everything, crash the wave into the turret. They respawn, they run to the turret, they try to push it back. They push this wave back, push this wave back. They're in the fog of war. You guys fall back, get Scuttlecrab, get their Gromp, get the Infernal Drake, back up, recall. And then Wild Turtle comes here, gets the red, gets the Wraiths, you regroup. And then you have two people go up mid. You have On to Flame go up mid. You have the other three go down into bottom, meet with the wave, synchronize the speed of the push, and then you walk up to here, walk up to here. You have Flame stay right around here, Onda stays right down here, and then you have the three people right here, and then you just thread the needle. So it's a pretty cut and dry finish from FlyQuest. I think that the route they chose to take was a little bit sloppy. I think that it could have been more refined, and it's mostly just because that middle inhibitor doesn't matter that much. Because no matter what, the play is still always going to be someone's coming from mid lane. Someone has to be coming from mid lane. So it's always going to be Flame. Flame is always going to be in mid. No one's going to resist Flame in mid lane, not when it's an open inhibitor anyway. This is a spot where you're so far ahead and there's no neutrals available, and it's not like TSM has Mountain Drakes or anything. You guys still have Baron. You could just honestly probably Gargoyle, Stone Plate, and engage as Onda, and everyone focuses the turret, and the turret goes down, and then because you guys are so far ahead, you just win the game. And even in an extended team fight where one of the members of FlyQuest goes down, it's okay, because the super minions are just posing so much of a threat. This is actually like one of those situations where it's like you're an endless horde of zombies that just don't stop coming, and they have limited amounts of ammunition, So even if they stop like the first wave, it doesn't matter because they lost an objective. Maybe like the front gate went down or like the front door caved in, and now more zombies can get in or something. So trading a turret for someone's life there via an Onda engage is totally worth it. Even more so when you consider that Flame even has like GA or something. He can even be a primary engage tool with Mega Gnar there. I talked about this in the SKT versus Jin Air game. Elder Dragon coming up next. TSM is just really trying to turtle. The only way that they can still win this game is 6-item Xerath basically looking like a scripter. That's the only way. Xerath has to be scripting. Yeah, why? I mean, Wild Turtle dies because FlyQuest doesn't commit to an engage that makes TSM back up and kite, and then they get the objective. Instead, FlyQuest takes a barrage of poke, and then retreats, continues to take a barrage, and then Wild Turtle dies. It's one thing to die and get an objective. It's another to just like eat a bunch of poke for no reason and get hit by a bunch of baseballs and then be like, oh, well, I guess that was a bad idea. Yeah, but the death doesn't matter. Who cares if Wild Turtle dies? What changed? Nothing. Who cares if he dies? It doesn't make any sense. All right. Baron coming up in 30 seconds. They have Callista. They have double Infernal. Elder coming up in a minute. This is a perfect 1-2 punch. One-two punch being capture Baron, capture Elder. Fly is stalemating in mid, and stalemates aren't beneficial for them right now, not with the inhibitors not being down. So TSM still has one shot left in this. It's all on Bjergsen. He needs to just become a god and hit all of them. He has to script. Like, that's... he really has to script. He has to look like he's scripting. TSM, are they going to actually manage to get... This is a fundamental error. TSM can only win with Elder. We talked about this in the SKT Jin Air game. We talked about this in another VOD as well. I forget which one. My memory's failing me. Okay? TSM, Elder, because they're poke, right? It doesn't matter if you have Baron minions if you can't fight them head on. Because this isn't 30 minutes in the game. It's not 25 minutes in the game. You can't play guerrilla warfare. Okay? There's open inhibitors. Elder is always more valuable than Baron in situations like this. We saw this in SKT versus Jin Air Green Wings. We've seen this so many times throughout the history of League of Legends. They get Elder. TSM can win. They can honestly win the game because FlyQuest has a fundamental understanding of which one is more important. Even more so because of FlyQuest Drakes. You look at bottom lane. Wild Turtle goes down to clean it up. TSM should actually just start a slow push bottom. They shouldn't actually full-fledged, or I'm sorry, FlyQuest should just start a slow push bottom, and then they should group mid and top and let the slow push eventually crash onto TSM. Now, the one thing that they have going for them is that the Baron buff, they can wait and they can use a timing against the Elder as the Elder fades, but I pretty sure that's not their thought process, although that is an assumption. Elder is just so much more valuable. TSM can have Baron. It's not going to do anything. If they do end up stalling and waiting until Elder fades, then it's pretty good. But they could have just gotten Elder and then, jammed down the door. And it wouldn't have mattered. The game would have just ended. It's like you have a checkmate in chess, but then you're bored and you want to have more fun, so you don't checkmate them. Okay. Gnar slowly... See top lane, though? This is really ugly. If they lose the team fight and Bjergsen spellbooks and Haunter teleports with death timers at this point, things can get really scary. They got one inhibitor, and Bjerg should just ult. Yeah. Okay. They got Zach. Okay. TSM still in this? TSM still in this? I don't know what Mike Young's doing. He's getting some vision. I guess they want some intel on like where perhaps their next approach might be. That wolf ward seems like maybe a little bit suspicious. But like in the event that someone captures wolves and then paths upwards, it gives you an idea of where they're going next. You have to be really, really careful here. They have the Zizira in mid. So TSM can win. This is that point in the game that I talked about. This is that Hail Mary, that 6-item Zeroth that he can do it. And now it really is a battle of Azir versus Zeroth. Baron power play minus 484. God bless. Cheers to that. They shouldn't push bottom. They shouldn't push bottom. Haunter, don't push bottom, please. Oh god, no. Why? Just let it go naturally. Just let it happen, dude. Oh, man. Doesn't even... It's completely irrelevant that Flame is headed there, because that's a decision that... Or he is not privy to that information when he makes the decision. He should just let that wave stockpile up. Unless this is like for an elixir, which I can't know about. Then it actually changes. But realistically, letting that just slow push and not drawing attention to it is good. It saves more time. Alright. Now FlyQuest going for, looks like a game-ending push. They don't have to do this, though. Put Flame in bottom lane. There's not a proper answer to him at this point. Not with him having that many items. They just have to let Flame get the inhibitor. You can see FlyQuest, or TSM's team composition is not very good at handling this. It's almost like, what even is Kha'Zix? Like, realistically. God, may as well just be an AD Maokai might even be more valuable at this point. No, not really, but what is hello? Flame, just stay in front of the turret. Flame, that's not how to split push. Like he's like not escorting the wave up. It doesn't matter. Like yes, look, see Bjergsen can just shove, but he should still look for boomerangs. He should stay in front of that minion. Like why aren't you just standing here and letting the wave clear? You know, you are so tanky, you can just do chip damage on this turret. Just walk up, auto it once, then back up. I don't even know what his life regeneration is at right now. There's no reason he shouldn't be getting trip damage. Oh. Baron's up now. What is Flame doing? What? Tom Kenshall, what? Okay. Baron going over again. Mike Young getting gutted. Oh, man. Oh, flash away by Flame. And, yeah, that's Kha'Zix. Yeah. Okay. You shouldn't be scared of Tom ult, though. Not at this stage. Like, who are they going to bring inside of the Tom ult that Flame can't just kite away from or run away from? It's just, like, you know? I mean, he has flash, he has kiting. He's really tanky. It's not like you can just bring Cho'Gath or, like, you can't just bring Kog'Maw. No, 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 nope, nope, no, 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 no. That's not how that works. Where are you going? Where are you going? Zeroth's right here. Cog's right here. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Why are you back here? Like, you can make an argument for Sven being too far up. Realistically, this inhibitor's falling. There's never a fight breaking out right now. Why is he going all the way back here? No, it's not Sven. Like, it's not just Sven. What? No. You're losing, but you're losing the inhibitor no matter what, right? Could you argue that, yeah, you're losing it and Sven should just be all the way back? Sure. Why are you just going to say Sven instead of Sven and Mithy? It's both. Except I think this is even... Sven can realistically actually get some pretty legitimate damage off here if Mithy eats him. He can actually get a pretty good chunk, and this is already... It's destined to fall. The Devour at this stage of the game, the cooldown won't matter when you guys are just turtling right here and letting Bjergsen do his thing. It doesn't matter. You know Flame doesn't have his ult. He was just like right here. Eats. I mean, it's both. It's literally both parties' fault. I understand what Sven's trying to do. That was obviously a misclick. He did misclick there. Like, watch, ready? I'll show you it. You can tell that right there. See this? This click is like right here. This has to be a misclick. I think he clicked right here because you see his face? I'm pretty sure he clicked right here. But if Mithy was just here, Flame can never do this. I understand what Sven's trying to do. He failed the execution, but it would have been a pretty big payoff if it worked. So like a lot of people criticizing Sven, but it's like both of them, but at least he's trying to make something happen, and it's a pretty legitimate play. It honestly is a pretty legitimate play. No, I wouldn't be roasting him so hard. I don't understand why people have this perception of me. Like, I just clearly stated that a champion is capable of something and a champion can do something, and there is a benefit for a champion to do something. I'm not going to just shape or like mold an argument to be catered towards a player rather than the champion's limitations. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't even know what, like, God, it's so obnoxious. It's like no one in chat said Mithy. Like, I just watched the entire Twitch chat. No one said Mithy. No one said Sven and Mithy. Everyone just says Sven. It's not just Sven. Like, you know, basically imagine it like this. You're a guy right here. This is you. And then you have a leash. And you have like this dog that like breathes fire. Okay, this is your dog. He can have fur. He's cool. All right, this is your dog on a leash, right? And he's like, roar, and he breathes fire and shit, right? And then the second they try to jump on your dog, you whip him back. And then you throw him back out again like he's a fucking Pokemon, okay? He's Zventhany, yep. Zventhany, new legendary Pokemon, okay? Pokemon Solo and Duel. Those are the next Pokemon games coming out in 2020. So Pokemon Solo and Duel, and you know, you throw back out Zventhany, and he continues to breathe fire. So that's exactly what is going on there. Pokemon in and feed. And I mean, at that point, it's the end of the game, and they know it's the end of the game. All right. What do you really want Bjergsen to do? He didn't get relieved on certain recalls. The Baron fight, he ulted when he had to. He backed up and ulted to try to provide damage. That Dragon fight was a complete mishap because of TSM. They, you know, the recall timings, Mithy arriving, Haunter arriving late, Haunter going up to a wave that realistically he should never even be going up to because he wants that wave to come back into him. So post-Dragon, they can allocate it to one of the carries. What did you want him to do this game? What? I don't even understand. The draft was terrible. This isn't Honsers, this isn't Mike Young, this isn't Bjergsen, this isn't Sven, this is not Mithy. The draft was atrocious. Okay, that's just number one, right? Draft was sort of okay until the second part, right? The Cho'Gath and the Kazakhs, I don't even know what's going on. Watch Analyst Desk. Where is Analyst Desk? All right, I'm gonna cut this part out of the VOD. I'm gonna watch Analyst Desk right now so I can actually put on volume. But anyways, this doesn't make any sense. TSM draft was super poor. Draft yesterday was a razor's edge, and they were doing it, and then it was like this, right? Like this is what happened. When Mithy went into the jungle, got caught out, the dive happened bottom lane, Mike Young didn't convey enough information, Honser died for no reason to the Pobelter roam, yada yada yada. I don't know what you want Bjerg to do this game. Do you want him to solo kill your opponent? That really just doesn't happen these days, right? Mid's not a 2v2 lane. Top, mid is a 2v2 lane. Mid is not 1v1 anymore, right? Especially in like control versus control. Like you can accrue CS advantages, but what do you want him to do in this matchup? First off, this matchup is ugly. This matchup is to a degree dictated by junglers. We saw that. Right? And also, anyone that understands Azir versus Xerath is also going to understand that. Eventually, Xerath does take over. But anyways, that's it for this VOD. I can't really understand what all the complaints were. TSM, I mean, they're losing in very, very silly ways. Fix up their drafts. Mike Young needs to be integrated better with the laners in a way. And then the macro play just has to improve, and then they can rise up to glory. But yeah,